All right, beautiful people. Welcome back to another amazing and impactful episode of the True Health Forever podcast, where we share our best life through the lens of holistic health. I'm your host, Truvel, creator of Black Wall Street, the board game. And as usual, I have with me the proud, the smiling, the curl-rific, hair on ultimate fleek, the I'm a clap at the same time as you today because I'm feeling extra good, queen herself. Please introduce yourself to people.
What's up, party people? My name is Sinclair, aka
The
Health Nerd. And yes, my hair is freshly washed, so my curls are extra popping.
Go ahead.
That's all I have.
That's it. That's all. Oh, I thought you about to go off on a rant. Go ahead, get it. No.
I'll be accepting compliments on my curls in the comments of this video.
There it is. I'll be the first one to be on that. Oh, I see you, Queen Curls popping on multiple accounts. But as usual, a little weekly check-in, Queen. How you feeling? How you doing this powerful week? And actually, we're recording this on Resurrection Sunday, Easter Sunday. So happy Easter to everybody.
Yes.
Hope everyone got some good rest. And my mom sent me a text was saying like how Easter is proof. Like even if you're not, religious, it's proof that miracles can happen. Like stuff that you will never expect to ever happen can occur in life. So if you're waiting for a miracle, right, go ahead and in the comments, maybe after you put amazing curls to the queen, what miracle or what just thing are you just hoping to happen that maybe isn't likely to happen, but you're still wishing it will anyway, right? But Queen, how was your week? Talk to the people.
My week was a good week. I felt like I got back on my wagon in terms of doing my morning routine, getting my workouts in, so I feel good. We did a version of the Daniel fast for a couple of days after vacation, so I felt good to just kind of re-cleanse your body, and so yeah, feeling pretty good. The week itself, I feel like every Friday was stressful. Friday was stressful today.
Yeah, you told me about your Friday. Her Friday was basically a whole week into one day. It was something else.
Yeah. So aside from Friday, the week was pretty chill. But yeah, it felt good. I started my certification for my health coaching program, so that's exciting. Nerding out on that every day. So yeah, I'm ready to go. I'm juiced. I'm excited for the next quarter.
Love it. And you started, and I don't know if you'll get into this later, but you started saying a saying in your head that kind of motivates what actions you do.
Yeah.
Can you give a sneak peek into what that is?
Yeah. So, as a lot of people do, I deal with imposter syndrome in terms of like I know what I want to be, but like am I really that person? Like am I meant to do that? Like am I worthy? All that stuff. You have those doubts in your head.
You are 100% worthy.
Thank you, dear. I know that. I'm trying to make sure I know that every single day. But what has helped me in this past week is when I feel myself not wanting to do something that I know that I should do, I say, we have a goal that like, okay, I want to be the number one Black health coach in the U.S. So I started.
Let's get it. Say it one more time for the people in the front.
The number one Black health coach in the U.S. That's my goal. But the that's a lofty goal, obviously. So of course there are days where it's like, man, I really don't want to work out today. But it's like, what I've started to do this week is tell myself the number one Black health coach in the U.S. would definitely wake up and work out today because she probably works out at least 25 minutes every single day. So that's helped me. Like, okay, I may not be there yet, but I think talking in that more third person makes it seem like something that I'm just actually like trying to get to, and naturally in my journey of trying to get there, I will become that thing that I'm trying to become. Does that make sense?
It does. And for me, it's also an interesting way, and hopefully this doesn't contradict myself, but it's an interesting way to fight the imposter syndrome.
Right. But it's almost accepting.
Right. But it's also saying like the number one health coach would work out. So then you give yourself a choice. Like either I'm going to work out or I'm not going to work out. So if I work out, cool, I'm stepping into my identity of being the number one health coach. And if I decide in that moment when I'm talking to myself to not work out, then I'm stepping out of that identity. But either way, it puts the responsibility on you. As soon as you say that sentence, you now have a choice.
Right.
So I like that. Well done. That was creative.
Thanks.
Appreciate you. My week. So y'all know
when you start off like that.
So y'all know, like, when you get back, and I think you experienced this, but when you get back from vacation, like, work doesn't go anywhere when you're on vacation. Work is just sitting there like, ooh, we can't wait for y'all to get back. So I just felt like when I got back Monday, there was just a flood of emails and just things to do for work, and then a little bit of stuff that got packed on for like Playback Wall Street and TH4 work, even though not too much because I was working for that when I was gone, but mostly work. There was just so much stuff to do and get done.
Just sits there like a little neglected pet.
Right. It's like, oh, bro, go away. Go fetch, and then I'm gonna leave. But long story short, it was just a lot of work that needed to get done. In the process of hiring 2 students, that's exciting. So nice. I think it's cool to be in a position to create jobs and stimulate other people's income from the job that I have right now. Right. So that was good. And then we did a hike with JD, who's one of our interns, also JT's little brother. Shout out JT. It was your birthday 2 days ago. Happy birthday, bro. But it was cool to be able to also bring in family, bring in friends to our business and help him discover his brand, discover his powers of researching, writing. He's a very analytical thinker, very into fitness. So it's cool to be able to pick these little superpowers that he has and see how we can, help build his brand while also growing our brand. Right. So yeah, we went on a cool little hike. He did not bring hiking shoes. He brought like some bright white Nikes. Yeah. I was like, you have no other shoes? He was like, no. So I was like, all right, bro. They're probably dirty right now. Yeah. What else? Randomly, since the queen was bragging about her hair, I co-washed my hair yesterday, and usually after I co-wash, and shout out to Rosie for locking me up, Gars by Rosie, go check her out. But usually after I do a co-wash, it shrivels up and stuff. But I did a co-wash and it's still hanging, right? It's still like, what's up? We here. Hey. So I don't know if it was the oil that I did like immediately after. I don't know if it's because we went on the hike after and it like slow dried or whatever, but hey man, I'm liking it. I'm feeling more comfortable with my locks as I go out into the world. So yeah, I'm liking it.
I'm happy for you, man.
Thanks.
I can tell you're liking it when you're doing that more.
Yeah, like, feel the power. Feel it. What else? I also, this was a very impactful week. So we submitted our MBE paperwork. High five and hot handshake to that. And for those that don't know, highly encourage you. It's a lot of paperwork. MBE, Minority Business Enterprise. It is a federal and state designation that can help you get more contracts in business. So money. So highly encourage you, if you are an entrepreneur, you have your own business and you are minority, whether that's gender, veteran affairs, disability, African American, indigenous, Native American, Latino, even Indian, Pacific Islander, like all that stuff. If you're any type of minority, you can get this self-designation. A lot of paperwork. Shout out to the queen for helping collect and create a lot of that paperwork, because that is not my forte. I was over here hurt.
It's maybe my forte, but that does not make it fun at all.
Not at all. But it's submitted, and now it's in, whoever approves stuff, it's in their court. So that was good. And then there was another thing that happened. Comic book. Submitted Infinity God comic book to a screenplay competition. I'm not gonna dive into the whole black hole, literally, of what you saw it in there. But it's coming to y'all see that. Now, are we ready to do a podcast?
I guess.
Yeah, it was a powerful first week back from vacation. It was powerful.
It was.
And I think it was powerful because we intentionally made it powerful by going back on our version of the Daniel fast. I had the dream elixir that I was drinking. Queen, did you test it at all?
I think I tasted it. I never actually made a the whole morning. I drink like a big old thing of water. So what I was gonna do is like do my water and then like just add a little bit of yours in there.
No. You got to take your shot of the elixir and then drink whatever water you're gonna drink afterwards. You can still do that.
I'll try it tomorrow.
Yeah, try it. See how it makes you feel before you drink your regular water.
Okay.
But I feel like doing those things helped us have a powerful week. We're very intentional about it. So today's podcast episode, we're gonna talk about something very similar. We're gonna talk about how you can disrupt certain aspects of your life to kind of kickstart your life in a field. We're going to try to cover economics or your finances, education, and of course, health, because T is for a podcast. Y'all know how we do. All right. So, Queen, are you ready?
Let's get it.
Let's get into it. Without further ado, let's get into the episode. Okay, so I want to give a little bit of context to how we got here. All right, so there's multiple layers, but first layer is I usually use Google Hangouts for my texting, right? You're like, yes, I know, factual.
I'm aware.
But for some reason, it was like Thursday or Wednesday, I was on Google Hangouts. And first of all, let me rewind. Because I don't think did I mention on the last podcast that I fell during my run?
No, you didn't. Poor baby.
So I was on my run the other day and I saw this vacant lot right there by Warehouse Shoe Sale. So I took a picture of the lot and I was sending it to my dad. And as I was sending it, like I was just thinking of what my dad would be able to use for. He was thinking about doing like a kind of a transitional home or low income home housing project. So I was like, oh, this location would be perfect. So then I started visioning that, and I have a problem. So I'll deep dive into daydreaming. And I was daydreaming while running and literally just tripped and fell on this crack, stumbled, and I cracked my screen. Now, long story short, how that connects is I started trying to use Google Hangouts to text and it wasn't working. And I assumed it was the screen crack that was messing it up. So for the first time ever, I went to messages, right? And I started using messages, and then 4 days later, Google Hangouts started working. But now I'm already using messages.
Right.
I've been wanting to use messages anyway because Google Hangouts is supposed to be discontinued. So literally me tripping and falling and having to use this messages disrupted me for that 3 days. And it forced me to use a different app, a different technology. And now I'm just moving forward with that technology and not looking back. So our hope for this episode is how can you literally disrupt an aspect of your life, disrupt a habit to where now it's inconvenient to even go back to what you used to do before. And obviously, hopefully to improve a certain aspect of your health. So, Queen, which one would you like to start off with?
Start off with education.
Education, all right. And for the sake of the podcast, education isn't going to be like formal, like college, K-12. It's going to be more general, just how are you informing yourself? It can be getting in certification programs. It can be going back to college, getting your MBA, but it could also just be learning and educating yourself in general. So starting off with education, Queen, how can someone disrupt the way that they consume information or get their knowledge?
It's going to sound really simple, but to go look for it. Why I say that? Because the norm in today's society is that someone's going to put it in front of your face. Someone's going to, whether it's a billboard, whether it's a commercial, whether it's whatever it is, a blimp across the sky. Like there's a lot of people and a lot of companies, a lot of everybody trying to put information in front of your face. So by you taking the initiative to go look for information, you're automatically taking a little bit more power into what you're consuming.
Gotcha.
Because I'm not just going to accept whatever is being put into my face. So I think that I feel like a lot of people these days don't actually intentionally go and research things.
I do.
I know.
That's one.
We're anomalies. But I feel like the average person is taking whoever's giving them that information, taking that as fact. Like, yep, you're saying this is happening or this is true, and I'm gonna believe it.
Especially on social. There was a post today, and I'm not gonna put out who posted it, but there was a post because on April 4th, MLK was assassinated. So there was a post saying MLK was assassinated in Alabama, but then everyone in the comments was like, he wasn't assassinated in Alabama. He was assassinated in, I was trying to see if y'all knew, in Memphis. Right?
Okay, so I was about to say Tennessee.
Yeah.
See, I knew, but I didn't know.
You knew because that's the reason why for your graduation we were going to go out there.
That's
was right. to be to visit that hotel and obviously get the good food. But it's interesting, like if you don't do your research and you see this post on Instagram, oh, MLK was assassinated in Alabama. Now your brain thinks this is fact. So you never know, in a different conversation you may bring it up and then, slightly embarrass yourself or out yourself for not knowing the right information. So definitely double check, especially if it's a post on social media. Like, yeah, consume it, but then make sure you confirm it with at least one other source.
Yeah. But I think it's rare for now people to go and do their own research on literally whatever it is. It can be on, the food you're putting in your body, the medication you're taking, the exercise you're doing. Like we see somebody doing a squat that says this will make your butt grow, and we're like, yeah, we go do it. But it's like,
is that what we do?
I mean, I don't really do that. My butt, my butt's
been blessed.
I've been blessed. I'm not gonna lie. Just try to keep it where it's at. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I have been guilty of doing other things like, do this to get a flat stomach. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do it. But it's like, is that true? I have no idea. So yeah, I think that's one thing you can do is just do your own research.
Yep. Something else, kind of along the point of the queen, is to read.
What?
Yeah, right. I'm taking it back old school on them. So, I mean, obviously, y'all know by now that I'm addicted to books, and I buy them like on a weekly, bi-weekly basis. Yeah, they're all over. At this point, I don't even have enough shelves for the books anymore. I need to either build another shelf or Anyway, so a lot of the information that we consume on social media, in blogs, on YouTube videos, sometimes in podcasts, they're like second, tertiary. I don't even know what the fourth level would be called.
That's quadrary.
Quadrary. Sure, we're gonna make that up. Yep. Quadrary sources.
You heard it first here. It's a word.
Quadrary.
Believe what we say. You don't need to go research it. No.
Right. Don't look it up. But like we're getting information not from the direct source. Books are typically like almost the direct source, or it came from someone's mouth, or they wrote it down, they wrote it down, thought it, and put it into this source. But I feel like because of technology and internet, we don't read as much as we used to back in the day. So I would say for you, as you're trying to educate yourself, definitely use social media or online certification programs. But if you can, pick up like 2 to 3 books in your field that you want to learn. If it's about Black history, get some dope Black history books. If you want to learn about health, get Eat Smarter or Know Thyself by Queen Afua, or The 7 Smoothies Live Your Best Life, which has some great research in it and primary sources linked to it. Like, get sources that you can then read every day. And that's the secondary thing. Get a book, but then also read 5 minutes a day. I'm not even going to say an hour, like literally read 5 minutes a day. That can be 1 page, and every single day you will then learn something. So as your business, as an entrepreneur, you can then create social media posts from everything that you're reading. You can create a YouTube video, a podcast on everything that you're reading. So I would say read a book, 5 minutes a day, educate. Ding. All right, number 2. Are you good with education? All right, moving on to, let's say, economics or health?
I want to finish with health.
You want to finish with a bang? All right, so now we're going to go economics. How can you disrupt your own financial economics? And I want to rewind because we had a conversation about this and we didn't put this context into it. And the context that we were given was, in America and probably other places, we're born into a set system. And we're kind of trained to stay within that system. For education, as an example, if you go to public school, you start at 8 o'clock You're given your meal,
Recess.
your recess. Yeah, you're given your recess. You get a snack. Then you're given a lunch break for an hour. You're given your meal for that. Usually, both those meals aren't the best for you. I mean, I used to get the Smuckers Uncrustables. Those. No, that's not popping. All right.
Look, everybody else had them too. I was never
Man, Uncrustables
a fan. Way too much jelly.
Hell yeah, no, I did take out a little bit of jelly. But long story short, like you are put into the system where for 6 hours a day, you're almost sitting down, you're receiving information from someone who deemed that information was important for you to learn. We're not gonna get into that. And then you're given, two breaks throughout the day, which is very similar to when you grow up. And now you're an adult working, yeah, you're 9 to 5, working for your corporation, most part sitting down at a desk typing for the day, or maybe you're working in a factory doing some stuff, but it's repetitive actions, taking rules or directives from someone else, and you have set times that you can take your breaks. So it's interesting that economically and education wise, and a little bit health wise too, because it's your diet, we're put into this system and kind of just on a conveyor belt or on a loop all the time. So for us, the whole concept of disrupting is, if you know you're in this conveyor belt system, how can you find a way to jump off the treadmill, right? In any point of your life, education wise, economics wise, or health wise, how can you do something that's completely different from what the norm is in culture?
And we talked about the reason, like if you're listening to this and you're like, but why do I need to? I'm fine being in the system. So the reason why we think it's important to do that is because the system is not set up for your success. So if you're thinking it is, you should do some research. That anybody who once you start doing some research and start digging into why things are the way they are, it really starts to open your mind up into the motive behind all of the systems that we are a part of. But yeah, the systems they're meant to sustain. They are meant to themselves. They're meant to sustain themselves. They're meant to last. They're built to last, which means literally, if you think about it, if a system is built to last, it is built to keep people in it. So there's
a really good book called Built to Last, and it's about the top corporations and how they were literally built. That was funny that you made that. I see you, Queen.
I haven't even read that.
Yeah, it's somewhere on that shelf.
But yeah, a system is built to sustain, which means it is the primary goal of the system is to keep you inside of it, because without you inside of it, there is no system. Without a system, everything's gonna fall apart. So yeah, even talking about like your employment, your 9 to 5 or whatever. So when talk about like retirement, right?
That's the point that I wanted to make next. So please go ahead and hit it.
So like you like to think about like the 401k, like, oh, it's so good, the company's matching, all that good stuff. But when you really think about it, you cannot access that money until you turn 65.
Right.
In this country, unfortunately, most people who are blessed to live until 65 are no longer in a state of youth, or in a state of, I don't even know what to call it,
just
to where
optimal life where you can enjoy all of that money, all of that freedom. And for the Black community specifically, a lot of us aren't even making it to 65. Right. So it's like we're working 30 years, 40 years for a retirement, for a goal that we will literally never get.
And if you think that 65 was random, no, 65 is not random. They know exactly that this is the system. They want to keep you working as long as possible, because that's the productivity. That's where the money is.
Right. So that was the background that we probably should have put in the first part one, but we appreciate y'all patience rocking with us. So to economics, how you can disrupt the system. And I'll give you like literal things that we do, but also you can be creative on yourself. You have your 9 to 5 job, possibly. Maybe you're already an entrepreneur. If you are, shout out to you. Congratulations on being free. But for most of us, we have our 9 to 5 job. What do you do with your lunch break? You're probably thinking, I eat lunch, Devon, obviously. Right. But sometimes during my lunch break, I'm doing a workshop for Play Black Wall Street. So literally I'll schedule it to where it's like, okay, I have my 9 to 5. And then from 12 to 1, I'm doing a workshop with the business, and I make a X amount of money. The price has been going up every
You hear
year.
that?
You feel me?
You, you,
You hear that? Is that that the price?
we just went up. You heard that?
So it's interesting because literally I make more on my lunch break on days that I have a workshop. I'll make more on my lunch break than I do the entire day working for my 9 to 5. Depending on the workshop, the entire week,
Sheesh.
I can make more in my 1 hour lunch break than the entire week of work in my 9 to 5. So for you, if you're trying to disrupt your action a little bit, how can you use your hour lunch break instead of just eating, instead of watching Netflix, Hulu, whatever folks do on their lunch break? How can you take that time to develop your, I don't want to say escape plan, but for lack of a better word, your escape plan, to develop your business plan, to develop your education, right? Mm-hmm. Maybe for that hour, you're reading the book. Maybe for that hour, you're taking a certification class. Maybe for that hour, you're watching a podcast, whoever podcast, to learn about stuff. Take that hour to empower yourself. Queen, do you have another example before I give a secondary example?
Nothing that's come to mind. You go right ahead. I'll riff on it if it calls me.
Sounds good. The example that we gave last week is to use your vacation days or even your sick days as ways to then have an entire day to build your business as well, right? So when you're done. Yeah. Yep. So again, everyone has vacation days, and to be honest with y'all, I don't, bless, knock on wood, I don't get sick anymore. So I never use my sick days because I never get sick. Knock on wood, I've been blessed these past few years, not ever in life like I used to get sick, but since we've got on this health tip, since I've been drinking my Organifi, doing my walks, my runs, my stretches, like I don't get sick like that anymore. So it's like those 300 hours. Yes. Well done, my health coach. You can put me on your testimonials. But yeah, you have to put it free of charge. Do the thing. But the fact that I have like 300 hours and I know I'm not gonna get sick is to think about how can I use those sick hours now to benefit other things of my life, or how can I use these vacation hours to benefit other things in my life. Queen, before you forget yours, go ahead.
I thought about the we learned this from Make Real Estate Real with Jamal King, that the norm and what most people will tell you to do and teach you to do is as soon as you get some money is to pay off your debt. Which for some people, and I'm not making any type of blanket statement, for some people that may be what you need to do. Maybe if you have so much debt that you can't do anything, your credit's shot or whatever, then that's probably what you need to do. But if you're sitting pretty comfortable, then what you could do to disrupt is take that money and go invest it. Now, they're going to have a lot of people that are like, whoa, what are you doing? You have all this debt. You need to go and pay that off. But if you're able to take that and invest it into something that's going to make your money grow even more, then you're going to be able to pay that debt off eventually. Like it's not, if it's not something that is really pertinent right now, then maybe not paying it off, because you pay it off and then what? Right? Okay, sure. You are not less, you're not in any, or not, you're in less debt, but what does that physically mean for you? You really haven't changed anything about your life. Whereas if you take some of that money and you invest it and have that money grow, that can be investing it in a business you want to start. That can be, if that gets you towards your freedom, that physically changes your life and how you operate. Right. That's a little bit of to me, that's a better deal than just paying off some debt. Right. So I think that's something slightly disruptive. And by disruptive, I just mean not the norm. Most people would say you got to pay off that debt before you go do anything else.
Right. And to, again, make it a little bit more real, credit card debt, usually between like 20% to, there's some terrible credit cards out there, but usually you're paying like 20 to like 30% interest, right? You can find other investments that give you a better return than 20 and 30%. Now, if you're a person where it's like, I have no idea what to do, then this is where you would do your research, educate yourself, and in the meantime, pay off that debt so you're not losing money. But as soon as you find a way to make 35% return, 40% return, in the stock market this year, me and the Queen, we've been able to get like a 300% return. So it's like, if we would put $1,000 towards paying off credit card debt, yeah, that would have been $1,000 done. But we put $1,000 towards stocks, and now we have $4,000, and we can still take $1,000 and pay off the credit cards, and now we still have $3,000 to do whatever we want with. So love the point that the Queen made. Well done remembering that. Find interesting ways that you can invest your money to get more return than the interest is on your credit card. And again, we're not tax or financial consultants, so you can do your own research, look out for opportunities for yourself, but that is just our humble advice and tips for you in your life.
The last thing I want to say, and this applies really to all three of these categories that we're discussing. Whenever you think you know something as fact, you know this is the right thing, because if you know it, it's probably because we've been programmed to know that. So like I said, paying off credit card debt, paying off student loan debt, all of those things that even I, up until like the past year, that's what I would have done, because that's what you're supposed to do, right? That's what we're taught we're supposed to do. Who taught you that? You have to ask yourself, who is the source of this information? And a lot of times we don't know, right? I just learned it from my parents. They learned it from their parents. They learned it from, we probably heard this, right? There, you have no idea, like the amount of things behind doors, the propaganda, the lobbying, all of these things that happen to be able to spread these messages. This is, a lot of these messages and things that we know, they're coming from the credit card companies. They're coming from the student loan companies, because they want you to pay back that money. So of course they're going to spread that yes, you need to pay off this debt. So again, that'll come up again probably later when we get to the health section. But just keep in mind that you always have to ask yourself, how do I know this? Where is this information coming from? And a lot of things are on Google. There's a lot of public information that people just don't go out there and find. But once you start looking, you find some very interesting things, and it just starts to make everything make sense.
Right. Transitioning over, so that's like pause right there. All right, so we're gonna cross home plate while talking about health, and I'll give just one example, but I know you have thousands that you want to talk about. But the concept that you just said, like, who told us that? The fact that and this is at least last time I did my research in 2019, I maybe need to do some more updating. Legally, schools need to provide milk with every meal.
Interesting.
They need to have an option to have milk available for every meal. Who told us that we need to drink milk with every lunch that we have? Right. And growing up, you're taught that you need to eat how many meals per day? At least 3 meals per day. Who told us that we need 3 meals every day in order to be healthy? We've been eating 2 meals a day for the past 2 years, at least. I'm glad we guessed the same. It's been at least 2 years, if not 3, and we've been healthier than I think we've ever been. So this is a short little, getting the plate ready for the Queen to take us home. But can you please talk about how we can disrupt our health, and then also give a little bit of context into the typical health or the typical diet that we're usually consuming, and how we can disrupt that?
So first of all, going back to who told you 3 meals a day, breakfast was not really a thing until I don't know what decade in the 1900s or whatever it was.
I just learned what breakfast means.
Break fast.
Yeah, I just learned that.
Yeah, so literally, like we think of like breakfast, like, oh, it's got to be pancakes, French toast, eggs, bacon. Like there's a breakfast thing, like, that you have to eat during breakfast, cereal, bagels. Breakfast literally means break fast. You fast when you sleep, and then you wake up, and the first meal you eat is breaking that fast. Break fast. So it literally does not matter what you eat.
We literally created a new word.
Right. It does not matter what you eat. Whatever the first thing you eat is, you're breaking your fast. That's breakfast. You could have a steak and eggs, or I guess that's till breakfast. Yeah. You could have a steak with pasta, and that's breakfast.
You can have a fruit smoothie. And that's breakfast.
Right. But yeah, so that idea came about from the food industry, because it created all of these new cereals and bagels and all of this stuff, and they needed people to eat it. So now we have to make people think that they need this. Right. Well, we're gonna say now you need 3 meals a day to be healthy. That's how it came about. Like, we don't know these things. Anyways, yes, health.
There we go. You just looked into my eyes and caught the concentration. There we go.
Okay, so I do want to this conversation, this podcast came about from multiple things, like he said. But I came home so like what mind blown and like juiced from the information that I was receiving on Thursday.
Sounds about right.
I think it was Thursday because of an episode of the Model Health Show with Sean Stevenson.
Shout out.
It was one of his earlier episodes, and he had I think it was his title was like a medical archaeologist. I think that's what it was called. First time I had ever heard about that. But basically, thank you, anthropologist, archaeologist.
Yeah, I was thinking, I was like, that sounds dope. A medical archaeologist. I've heard of medical anthropologist before, but
that's funny. Thank you, medical anthropologist. Still the first time I had heard about it, but it was very interesting to hear him talk about how he is a medical doctor, or at least at that point he was a medical doctor. So he's got that training. He was in that field for some time, and then also he's got the cultural and historical aspect of it that he has researched. And so the wealth of knowledge that this man has, I wish I remembered his name. But long story short, it was talking about how there are several studies that he himself and his company have done that show, one of the studies is one his has done. There have been other studies in other countries around the world that have agreed with what his said. And basically that bras contribute, or in some cases can directly cause breast cancer. And that was like,
listen, y'all.
What?
She came home on fire. Usually when she come home, she's coming through kind of slow, like, hey, babe, let me get my hug. Okay, all right, I'm gonna go change now. She came through, boom, Devon, I
have my bra in my...
took off. I'm not wearing these anymore. I was like sitting at my desk, like, what is going on? I'm not mad at it, but just educate me. Yeah. All right, my bad. I just want to give folks context. Go ahead.
Yeah, because I'm just like, what? Like, this is the first time I'm hearing about this, and I researched this stuff. So it's like, well, why don't we know this? That there are studies that show that bras are linked to breast cancer, and it made total sense. And it's the fact that I'm wearing a nice sports bra that's breathable right now. It's great. But the fact that many women, for most women, we're not wearing the correct size bra anyways, so we're wearing something that's too tight. It's cutting off your circulation. When you take it off, you've got lines all over your body. Like, that's not good. And if you think about, we've talked about the lymphatic system before, and it's about, I think, 2 liters of fluid that you have in your body.
Don't look at me for that. I don't know the lymphatic system. I got anthropologists.
That's all you got.
That's all I got.
It's about 2 liters of fluid that we all have within our bodies, and that basically it's what helps like the waste from your blood and your cells. It helps get rid of it. So it's gotta go somewhere. So a lot of that waste, it exits the cells and it goes into the lymphatic system, and that's where it can actually get rid of it.
It's just so the garbage trucks,
exactly,
or recycle centers.
Yes,
those are lymph nodes. Okay.
Yes. And so if you think about, we have one in our armpits. And so if you think about, I'm like, this is gonna be interesting, like screenshot. But if you think about, if you're cutting off your circulation in your at your breasts, whatever waste, whatever stuff is trying to exit from this area is not able to, if it's so restricted, right? If that fluid cannot flow and it's cut off, then whatever abnormalities, whatever waste your body is trying to get rid of from this area is going to stay right here.
Right. And I want to connect to the fellas too. That's why fellas might be listening, like, all right, this doesn't matter for me. The same concept can be taken if you're wearing extra tight boxer briefs, if you're wearing I think you said like a belt, if you have belts on at work, it's the same situation. So the waste of the recycle centers that are within your thigh area, your glute area, your power center, it can't escape anywhere. So colon cancer, which is higher in Black men, which I feel like is interesting because Black men also stereotypically have the bigger butts, the bigger thighs, and now we're wearing our belts. So if things aren't meant or aren't made for our bodies and then we're putting it there, there could be a reason why we have these extra health disparities in our community too. Yep. But Quinn, if you can finish, I just wanted to pull it into everybody in here, whether you have breasts or you don't have breasts. This is still very important to learn.
Yes. And so basically it was very interesting just to hear about like that. It makes sense, right? When you're thinking about it, it makes sense. But why don't we know about it? If you're asking yourself why this is the first time you're hearing about it, why is this the first time you're hearing about it? Right? Because there are certain messages, there are certain industries that are all tied together that prevent certain messages from getting out, because if they get out, they will disrupt the system. Right? So if we're talking about the lingerie industry, the people who make bras, they're very much intertwined with like the cancer societies, especially like the breast cancer awareness societies.
Tell them what you told me.
Which part?
The part about people who are giving out bras.
Oh yeah. So
that's crazy.
There is, I think it's Susan B. Komen. I think that organization, they make bras. So if you think about if you make bras and you profit from making bras, it does not make sense for you to then switch your message to say that you shouldn't be wearing bras, even if that's what's better, right? We live in a capitalist society. So if their number one priority is to make money, then that's what they're going to do. Okay. So the one thing that really blew my mind is that they were talking about like, again, why when they did try to kind of have this information put out there, the reason why they were not able to, I want to say this was in Hawaii, when they were actually trying to get it on a network or something like that. And the network that they were trying to get it on was owned by NBC. And then NBC is owned by, and again, I don't know, this is old, so this is a couple years old. So if this is no longer true, don't shoot me. But the network that they were trying to get it on was owned by NBC. NBC was owned by GE. GE makes the machines, I don't know what they call mammogram machines, the ones that, they test for breast cancer, make those machines. And therefore, and which is another, that can also, the radiation for that is also not necessarily good for you. But long story short, they were not able to put out that message because they were saying you can't paint this company in a bad light. And that is just one example of these things that happen. Doctors are limited on the amount of research on the certain things that they can research because of who is funding their research. If you are getting money to fund, if your research is funded by a certain company, they're expecting a certain outcome. You cannot disprove their outcome. You can't, take this money and actually go do research on this. That's actually going to show that the product that they want to push is actually not good for them. They're not going to pay for their own demise. So if you think about like, well, what is the research saying? The research is tainted because of who pays for it, right? And you have to really, if you think about, if you go on like and I actually did this at once, I want to say it was the American like Diabetes Association or something like that. If you go on their website, they have recipes. And I don't remember if it was the diabetes one or American Cancer Society. It might've been the Cancer Society one that I was actually looking up recipes. I wanted to see like what recipes do they have on here. And there was something like beef stew or beef stroganoff or something like that. And I was like, well, this is interesting because there's several, research that's been done that links the consumption of red meat to higher cancer rates, but it's on the American Cancer Society website. That's interesting. Well, who funds the research and the American Cancer Society? Meat companies. So it's like they can't even, it's all intertwined. Everybody's got hands in different pockets. So long story short, I could go off on this all day.
Y'all saw the fire.
But you have to keep in mind, even if it's like, oh, but my doctor said, who told your doctor that? Right? Who's telling the hospitals what doctors need to tell their patients? Who's funding the hospitals? These, like, if you keep going, there are layers and layers. You have no idea.
Yeah, so I want to pull you back because I see you getting into your health nerd bag, which I appreciate. I love to see it. And I saw Queen Afua's interview the other day on the Breakfast Club, and I sent it to the Queen. I was like, "This is you in 40 years." But now seeing you in action, this may be you in like 4 years. You know what I'm saying? You on your back. But how can folks disrupt their health kind of habits or health system? So knowing everything that you know now, can you give 1 to 2 examples of things that people can do to just really disrupt and eat or operate outside of the norm or outside of what the system may want them to do?
Yeah. I would say experiment with yourself. So, and by that, I just mean, we've talked about, different ways that you can try to eat healthier. But what I want you to do is put however you're feeling above whatever else you may hear. Right. So if you try, I'm going to try adding kale into my diet on, once a week or for one meal each day. However you feel should trump anything else that you hear. Right. So you're probably going to feel better because kale's good for you. And that should tell you what you need to do moving forward. You should be incorporating kale into your diet. Try skipping breakfast. Try intermittent fasting. Right? There's a lot of people out there saying that, oh, you shouldn't starve yourself, blah, blah, blah. Again, who is telling them that? Because you have to ask yourself, who benefits from giving me this message? I don't benefit at all from telling you this information. I'm not trying to sell you something. I'm just
though we do have an intermittent fasting plan, but we're not currently selling you that.
But you don't need it right. to be successful. It's right. It's just something to help you. But I don't benefit from giving you this information. But you have to think about who would benefit from telling me that I need to eat breakfast every day? All of the companies who provide those breakfast foods, right? So just ask yourself that question. Who benefits whenever you hear something and you want to take it as fact? I think that's a better first step. Just ask yourself, who benefits from telling me this information? And if it comes back to a company, then I'm not saying that it's not false automatically, but that's something that you would want to go do your own research on. Because they could just be saying that to get that product, off the shelves. So that's I think that's a better first step is whatever you hear, even if it's, I just told you kale is good for you, go do your own research, go look it up, go find it. But yeah, I think that's just start to ask yourself, especially around health, ask yourself who benefits from hearing this information. The fact that when you're watching TV, I don't know about y'all, but we watch Hulu. I promise you, 4 of the 5 commercials on any show are pharmaceutical products, right? First of all, that wasn't even legal back in the day. This is something.
Back in the day is like 3 years ago.
Maybe not be 3. I don't remember exactly when it became legal, but at least probably 20 years ago, it was not even legal for drug companies to be able to market direct to the consumer. Right now they can, and now it is everywhere because they want to market that this is what could be, this is what your life could look like. That's why you always see, somebody enjoying playing around with their kids or eating ice cream. It's all these images.
The sad part is for me, it's so, and I don't want to get into a back rabbit hole of like, oh, we're a conspiracy theory. It's not a conspiracy theory. Like we're giving our opinions, and some of the stuff is factual. You can do your own research for sure. But the fact that depression rates have gone up in COVID, and for the first time now, it's legal to promote or market pharmaceuticals, and most of us are watching Hulu, we're watching Netflix, we're watching Disney Plus, and now we're seeing this anti-depression medication. Right. So I feel like unfortunately we're probably going to have a huge spike in the amount of people who are taking these medicines who they have not crazy side effects, they have abnormal, unhealthy side effects.
Yes.
And I feel like there's healthier ways to remove yourself from depression than taking these things that may cause a whole onslaught of other health things. So in my opinion, we're going to see in like probably 3 years, a increase in all types of different health disparities based on side effects from antidepressants because of COVID.
Right.
Go ahead, Queen.
And it's so hard for me not to go down all these different rabbit holes.
Right.
But to your point, for a lot of the medications, yes, they do have, and we're not, again, this is not a conspiracy theory. It's in the commercials. Half of the commercial is it saying really fast all of the different side effects that they don't want you to pay attention to. They want you to focus on them, playing with their grandchildren, but they don't want you to hear that death is a possible side effect.
And in some cases,
right. And in some cases, what?
But and in some popular cases, they're may cure death. What? How y'all say that last?
Right. But long story short, in a lot of these cases, right? So you get on one medication for whatever it is. Let's say it's depression and you take an antidepressant. I have heard with my own ears them say, this is meant for other people who are already on an antidepressant and it's not working. What? You've
Mm.
created another drug
To
to help
supplement
another drug that's not working. What?
Wild.
What?
Right.
But long story short, once you are on one medication, it is so easy for them to push another one on you to treat the side effects from the first medication that you were receiving.
Treat the what?
The side effects.
Mm.
What, did I say it wrong?
No, you said it right.
Oh,
I just wanted to double check it, like to treat the side effects, not the original disease, not the original illness or disparity. We're treating the side effects of medicines now.
Right. And it's the kind of our healthcare system, and it's really not healthcare system, it's a sick care system. Because again, what I mentioned about the system, this is where I'm going to try not to go into the rabbit hole.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
The system is meant to keep you inside of it. If everybody gets healthy, our economy would literally collapse. Because the pharmaceutical industry is a multi-trillion-dollar industry. So it would not, our economic system would not sustain. It would collapse if everybody were to get healthy.
Yep.
I want you to think about that. So if companies, if the government, if everybody knows this, they have to keep the system intact.
Okay, so I want to rewind. You gave one, I think, tactical example of what folks can do.
Yes.
Think about one more. I'm gonna give one more as well. But think about one more thing people can do for health, because we realize there's a lot of kind of barriers to living a healthy lifestyle. So one more example that I'm gonna give is do, again, 5 minutes. So try to keep it realistic, because I know even myself, I'll be like, oh, I don't have time. But when you break it down to 5 minutes, you got time to do anything. Take a walk, a run, do yoga. If you're not able to really walk, sit in a chair and do arm raises for 5 minutes a day. This is literally like a commercial. While you're watching the pharmaceutical commercial, don't pay attention to it. Do your 5-minute exercise. Or while maybe you're watching the news, commercial comes on, get up, do your 5 minutes of squatting or walking around the house. 5 minutes of daily activity. That's just to disrupt. After that, hopefully you can build on top of that. But right now, 5 minutes of activity. Queen, what you got for us?
Well, since I did just talk about the whole breast cancer thing, I would challenge any females out there, any women who are wearing bras, try it without a day. Try it without it for a day. Maybe pick a weekend, but just try not wearing it to see how it feels. Because again, if we know that it can cause problems down the line, switching bras, that's an easy fix to prevent, right? If you're thinking about like the lesser of two evils, either maybe maybe you get a couple looks that are like, is she wearing a bra? Or breast cancer. Right? If you're thinking about those two, I will take the looks all day.
Yeah.
I will take the looks all day, right? If there's even a possibility that it will, help me prevent breast cancer.
Right. And can you give the alternative also for folks that maybe don't want to go no bra, no nothing at all? Yeah. What else could they also wear?
Yeah, you could do like a camisole. So like a little.
Learn that word for the first time this week, to be honest with you.
It's just a tank top. Like if you have a tank top that's a little bit, tighter, that can just hold everything in, that can work too. But just nothing that cuts off your circulation. You don't want to be wearing anything that like cuts off your circulation to the point where you have marks when you take it off. Yeah. So I think that I had one more and then I lost it. Oh, there are a lot of companies right now doing like at-home lab tests that you can do. So, there's like food sensitivity tests. You test your hormones and things like that. Do a test on yourself just to see, like a food sensitivity test is a good one, just to see like what does your body react to. So I did take one a couple of months ago, and, it showed me that like dairy is not my friend. Which I already knew, but it's nice to see it, confirmed. And then there were a couple other things that were also a surprise. But I think it is good just for you to know. You don't need anybody, you don't need to go to the doctor's office for those types of things. Like they're making it very accessible for you to do for yourself right now. So just to take a little bit of ownership into your own health, run a test, see how, and it's, again, there's like, you can type in like, at home lab test. I did do one a company. They're not sponsoring, but if you just want a place to start, Everly Well is one of them. So check them out, see what type of tests they have. But I think it's good just to start, the process of really owning your own health, because again, we talked about, there's not a lot of people out there who are, I should say there's not a lot of people. There's really no one out there who has your health in their as their best interest, right? You have to make
Except if you're married.
Yes.
Then that individual should, and I do.
And I guess I'm talking like out there, outside of your own household. There's really not too many people who have your health as their best interest. Everybody has their own best interest. So make sure that you have your health as your best interest. Otherwise, it's no one's best interest, and then you may not be that healthy.
Well, at Truvel Forever, we want you to live your best life, which means getting the best health possible. That's why we did this not very long, but it was longer than it was supposed to be episode, diving into all those rabbit holes, but really try to find a way to disrupt some system, some habit within your own lifestyle, whether it is the health and the diet that you're doing, whether it's the education or the information that you are consuming and confirming out there, or if it is your economics and your finances. How can you disrupt one of these three systems to create a better life for yourself? We've given a lot of tangible steps. We'll give one more on repeat just in case you're hopping in at the last minute. One for me is to either read a book 5 minutes every single day, or do some type of walk or activity for 5 minutes every single day. Do one of these two or do both. If you have 10 minutes to spare, which I guarantee you have 10 minutes to spare, do both of these and you'll be able to help your education, kind of your economics, and your health all at the same time. Queen, recap on one or two action items for folks.
I think I said, if you have, in terms of the finance, if you have some money, try and take that and invest it. If you are in the correct situation to do, and you can spare, take that money and invest it rather than paying down debt. And then the other one, health wise, is whenever you get information, one, ask yourself, who benefits from providing me this information? And if it ends up being, if you have an answer that ends up being like a company or a certain person that benefits, then that doesn't mean that the information is false, but that means that you should probably go vet that information for yourself. And then secondly, if you do wear a bra, try and go one day without it. Boop, boop. Let the gas free. And I do just want to give the caveat, right? I am not anti-doctor or anything like that. We have doctor friends. I'm talking about the system. It has nothing to do with individuals within the system. Doctors have their place. Obviously, if you were in a car accident and you have injuries, the hospital is the place for you. I guess my area of concern is that we've put too much power into that system, and that we now need to take, as society, need to take some of that power back into the individual.
Beautiful way to end it. Thank y'all for joining us for another episode of the Truvel Forever podcast, where we share our best life through the lens of holistic health. I'm your host, Truvel, creator of Black Wall Street, the board game.
I'm Sinclair, aka
the Health Nerd. We hope y'all stay healthy. We hope y'all stay mentally wealthy. And of course, we hope y'all stay true.